Gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the DM and Friends. And this is our Thursday night live stream. It's generally our discussion group. So we do have a topic tonight, but uh, we have a couple special people with me, obviously above me over in these areas over here. So I'm really glad that everybody's here. Freezer, Advance, I see you guys here already. Thank you so much. We got a really good show. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. I'm going to introduce Stephen Clements over here. I'm going to introduce him, and then you're going to introduce our special guest over here on the side. I won't say your name, Casey. Stephen, thanks so much for jumping on. All you guys know Stephen, and probably all know Casey too. But yeah, thanks so much for jumping on, Stephen. How's it going?
Great being here. It's been good. I've been plenty busy, and I've been stoked for this too. But over on my channel, I keep releasing episodes of me narrating "Call Me Tennessee," the autobiography of a Jewish
Yeah,
hobo that I knew, and it's depressing. It's exhilarating. It's everything that you could imagine a Jewish hobo going through, and then stuff that you probably wouldn't believe. But I saw enough evidence to corroborate his stories to where I can certify that it's at least 95% true. Now, what part is the 5% that isn't? I got to leave some mystery to it.
yeah.
But yeah, so I've been having fun doing that and working my way through the reviewing the challenge series for AD&D Second Edition. I've got 2 modules left to go for the channel: the Thieves Challenge 2 and the Wizards Challenge 2. And I know Freezer, my boy Freezer in the chat, who I
Yeah,
think he's like your number one guy here. I mean, like him, Fred, and Blair, they're like always here.
yeah.
And welcome
And
to
Greg,
everybody else.
Dreg and
Yeah,
Advance. Yeah.
Dreg, can't forget Dreg.
Yeah, yeah.
But so Freezer, we're working together on. He'd written some material for his Legacy of Kane role playing game. And it's a cool game. He's been running me through it, and he's letting me do some editing on his material, just pretty it up, make it easier to teach to people, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. And so it's good learning experience because boy's got some good ideas on him. But
That's awesome, dude.
don't skip editing day. That's the important part.
Mm.
Can't do it. And if anybody knows about the importance of editing and production quality, it is
Yeah.
the man on the screen to
Mm.
my internet right or left, whatever it is. Casey Christofferson, this guy.
Hey, folks.
Um,
Hi.
I thought he was a cool guy when I gamed with him at North Texas. My first
Yeah.
time there, I had 2 sessions with him, and one session made me think this dude is metal, and it turns out he is. And
I
the
Yeah.
other
know.
I was
one
wearing a Misfit shirt.
terrified me. And he didn't even do anything over the top or super like, oh, this unspeakable thing jumps in the room and starts whipping, chains at you. He would just make a little noise, just a little giggle, and
Hmm.
everybody at the table got creeped out because he masters the tone and what he's trying to broadcast to you and the little details. Casey Christofferson, this guy.
Hey, hi,
Uh,
guys.
yeah.
Welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here.
If you want, I'm gonna toot his horn for probably the rest of the show at this point because he's got so much to talk about. Um, Legendary game designer, and if you haven't read any of his modules, do it. Believe me, he's got the goods. If you want it rough, you want it entertainment, you want it dark, you want it interesting, you want to hit both the old school feel like we're talking about now, but you also want to rope in more high concept stuff, more of the role play, social aspects, cerebral aspects of role playing games, and getting into character. His modules can do all of that, including this bad boy, City of Brass, which also does at least 1d4 damage if you get the
If you
hardback.
get hit by it,
It
yeah.
might do 1d6, and this thing, it, it would take hours to talk about how awesome this thing is. But if after I gamed with him twice, and then I found out that he made this massive campaign about going and facing the Ifrit, the evil Jinn on the plane of fire, and how that should be portrayed. I came away thinking nobody could be better chosen to depict them than this guy. He's got the sensibilities for it. He knows what he's doing. Plus,
Many
he's
kind
just
words.
a really interesting dude. We talked a lot about art in our interview, which, if you haven't seen the 3 hours of edited interview, there was more
There's
because
more.
Casey was very generous with his time, but there's 3 hours of edited interview, art, travel, alcohol, history, all kinds of stuff. This dude, and nowadays he's still at it with was it Parallel Dimension Gaming with some other dear friends, Edwin Nagy and Zach. Oh crap, what was that Zach's
Jack
last name?
Laser, yeah.
Zach Glazer. Right now,
Yeah.
a couple other awesome dudes that I've
Yeah.
had the joy of gaming
Jeff
with.
Hartnett, who did Splinters of Faith. He's our main editor and layout guy right now, and he's awesome. He's been in the game as long as I have. He's low key like me as well. You know, I mean, you all know I don't do a lot of podcasts and interviews, and this is like a weird thing for me because you guys approached me to be on tonight, and I'm grateful for that because we're coming to the end of our Kickstarter for the Highway Over the Mountain, which is our first Shadow Dark thing. And yeah. And then you know, we are getting ready to do a lot of other really cool stuff that I'm excited to talk about. And then tomorrow night they've got me on the Page Talk, which is so back to back, me being in front of the public and talking.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
I'll be in the audience on that too, so I'll cheer you on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When Angelo tossed the topic at me about, what makes old school dangerous, who would be somebody good to bring on, I was like, that guy right there.
Yeah.
And for his new company, I was on drive through today. I got it pulled up on my computer looking for the stuff that's on sale. And I was checking out his titles, and I picked up a few of them, and like Encephalon Gorgers on the Moon. But if y'all just want to see what he does, just to try it out, they do have the Under 4 Furies for X-Crawl for free. You can see what the man does in 7 pages, see if you like what he's got going on, and you'll be back.
Artwork by Sid Quaid, who's got the a lot of the old school black and white aesthetic. That kid is a multi-talented threat right now. He's his most recent book he's illustrated for us is we have a Shadow Dark book that Jeff wrote called Forest Fracas, and you have the option through the course of the game. Part of it you play as your player characters, part of it you play as small animated woodland creatures. So we went for like a real Don Bluth, Dark Disney, Dark Cauldron, that kind of vibe for the artwork for it. We're going with the art that matches the book. You know what I mean? So yeah, and Sid's awesome. So if you've seen any of the stuff pop up on our Parallel Dimension Gaming Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, any of that stuff, the one with like the little rabbit character with the wand, that's for that book. We're real excited about how all this stuff is turning out because it's like it's cute and Disney, but it'll kill the hell out of you.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about. If y'all unpack what he just said, there's so much good stuff in it. That's why I love this guy. He's fantastic. So
real quick before we get deep in here, I want to acknowledge some of the we got so much traffic right now. So I just want to acknowledge some people that just jumped on. Freezer Advanced, I think I shouted out to you guys already. Dr. Phobos, good to see you. He plays I don't want to get into the story. Last night's game was probably one of the best games I've DM'd in years, and it involved this gentleman right here who is no longer a paladin. Forever he is a fighter. Okay, so we won't talk about that anymore. Matthew, good to see you, man. Blair Blur, the one and only Blair Blur is here, and she says, no, I'm just captivated by DM Angelo. I suspect it's sorcery. Yeah, I got you. And little CWA, you are here. Thanks for joining.
Remember, that's little CY.
Little CY. Yeah. I didn't know it was little C Washington. Yeah.
That's it.
CY had a cool comment back there, but I missed it. So
and then DM Leo, great guy. I talked to him on the. We're gonna have him on pretty soon here. Yeah, thanks for jumping on. Oh God, I'm behind in comments here, but yeah.
So what are we drinking tonight, gentlemen?
I got bourbon.
Got bourbon, sun-kissed.
Zero sugar, sun-kissed.
Does it deliver the satisfaction?
And maybe just a touch of what's in here.
Oh my man!
We'll get a good look at it.
Oh, there it is. I like it.
I have some Havana Club Especial. So that's some of the aged Cuban rum that I know that we've shared Cuban rum before at North Texas, Casey. So in honor of you,
Delicious.
Bust that out.
So should we? Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Yes. So, Casey, you know, it's funny. Before the show, we were talking, and you know, I was saying, well, I don't think I've ever met you, but then you kind of said something that was very interesting. Yeah, I guess we've been to North. I mean, you look super familiar. We weren't connected on Facebook or anything, and you know, what is that, anyways? But yeah, I kind of looked through a lot of the stuff that you're doing, and Steven's told me a lot too. Man, you've been a busy man, dude.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I'm super busy. I don't make it to a lot of cons, you know. And I'm going to try and make North Texas this year, but it kind of, if y'all see me wiggling around and squirreling around a little bit, I did something to my back and shoulder, but I'm so busy with the day job and the restrictions on when you can take time off for the day job that I'm going to be going this week that I have off to go see if I need to have some shoulder work or some neck and back work done. So
Casey, just remember, next time you deliver like 100% strength bitch slap, limber up a second. Just limber up. That's what it was.
Oh man, I thought I was good. I'd been training for winter for a whole year, and then it beat me up again. Yeah. So my most violent adversary of the last, probably 30 years has been the last 2 years of winter. So yeah, it's just been rough.
As a Floridian, I'll drink to that.
Yeah, you guys have had a winter this year that unlike many others. So my folks live down in the Clearwater area, so I'm familiar with his pain and sorrow. Yeah. But when my best friend calls me and goes, "I had to wear pants today."
Oh man. Casey, where are you at?
I'm in Kansas. I'm in South Central Kansas. Yeah, a little suburb of the Wichita area. So
nice. Back to the comments here. Somebody I don't recognize, Chantel Jones 8026. She says super nerds ? I like that. Thanks for joining and good to see you and nice to meet you. Yeah, man. So on this show today, I love to get into some of the cool stuff you've been doing. Definitely talk about some of, that's why we do this show. Get everybody to get to know your work and what you've done and what you're doing and who you are. And then I think after we kind of do that, we're going to get into a topic. Those of you guys that just joined, tonight's topic is why old school D&D feels a little bit more dangerous. I mean, that's just the word on the streets, than some of the modern RPGs. And remember, this is just just my opinion. I brought up the topic, so maybe you can crucify me.
I have thoughts that you'll appreciate.
That's true.
Thoughts you'll appreciate. Yes.
But it was kind of based on a previous a Monday released video I did. And yeah, I got some really good comments on it, and I'd like to kind of dive into that at some point. Jason Jacobson's here. Yeah, good to see you, man. Take it away, Steven. I know you wanted to humanity is overrated, Dr. Phobos said. Okay, all right.
So Freezer, as always, is in the chat, just trying to get straight to the topic. We can't socialize. We can't say hello.
Yeah, we can't have a couple.
I appreciate it. He's eager to learn, and Boise got someone to learn from. So old school, what is it? Can you do it nowadays, or is it time locked before most or a lot of people were born that are in the game right now? I don't think it is. I think it is a design philosophy. It's a system of thought that it produces certain results, and that those happened back in the day most often, and things have changed, or some people have done different things since then, and it's not old school, but then some people keep doing that and it is old school.
Yeah.
um and a system is what it does, what it produces, what it encourages. Rules, they reward certain behaviors, they punish others. And so I'm going to be talking about it from like a systemic perspective of what's old school. And I think two key factors um, are at the heart of it. One, you don't have any safety rails. You ain't got your chances of escaping something, of escaping consequences are very limited. And since your characters aren't automatically superheroes, player skill matters, not
Character.
character skill,
Yeah, that's a
the
big
stuff
one.
that's on your sheet. The player skill matters. And we'll get
That's a
more
big
into
one.
that, all that as we go along. But that's my basic look here. And now prepare for Casey to blow all our minds.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the definition of that, and you guys definitely we will get into that. Jim Forrester, holy smokes, good to see you too, man. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on, and why don't you sit here with us, Jim, and nerd out with us for a while. Put your seatbelt on. It's a old buddy of mine from work many years ago. Anyways, yeah, we'll get into that for sure. I think I have a kind of a different take on the definition too, and I'd love to hear Casey's. But yeah,
Casey, what you got?
What you got,
Okay.
man?
What do you
All
think
right.
defines
I'm old enough to remember that we all started playing D&D where somebody had to be a caller and somebody had to be a mapper. And then you would, at the end of a dungeon,
Wild
you would
card.
have to compare your map to the map that was on the back of the book to see if you were anywhere near where you were supposed to be. Yeah. There was a challenge. There was definitely a challenge to it, and there was definitely a certain amount of fear factor involved. There's a lot of the whole tapping of the pole and all of that kind of stuff, the 10-foot pole, and poking everybody, searching for traps and this, and you don't trust anybody because everyone's a doppelganger or a mimic or something, But we, as older gamers, as mature gamers who grew up probably when the game came out, maybe, this says we had a different experience growing up playing the game than kids playing now, and that is a fact that some of our community needs to just make themselves comfortable with, right? Kids already knew about elves and things. Remember that Gary and all of the guys and Jim, they were all trying to get into video games. They wanted the D&D video games more than anybody right off the bat, and Richard Garriott just beat them to the punch and did a better job. And the torch was carried on. But our younger players and millennial players, if you want to call them that, they came up playing video games that were already based on D&D. They already had a different experience. They already had a different approach to how the game was played. One of the things that became, and you're right, you had to explore and you had to be careful until you already knew what that monster was. Well, the next time you play a game, if you're a first level guy, you've got that metagame mind. And so you have to ask yourself, is it player skill being careful and patient? Or am I metagaming, which is why I'm the type of person that to this day at 54 years old, I still create new monsters all the time so that people don't get the same old thing and they don't know what the challenge is going to be. The problem with 3.5 is they came right at you and said no metagaming, right? And so people kind of took that as a certain way. And also it was very much a math finder game, which is fun for a lot of people. And they like all of those extra nitpicky rules and things like that. That's the stuff, and then I love it that's what they love. And I've wrote a lot of those books and made a lot of money making those books over the years. 5.0 it can be a fun game. It can be a great, enjoyable experience, and it suffered largely from the copyright holders' inability to write great adventures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you look at the same rules applied to Larian's Baldur's Gate 3 game, and you can F around and find out real quick in that game. I got TPK'd almost immediately, like the first 3-4 times I logged that game in, until I realized I need to play this like AD&D.
Yeah.
I need to pull back my expectations of what I've been doing to DMs in 5th edition for all these years,
Yeah.
and just abusing them and making them angry at me because I design these games, so I kind of know how stuff works. And I'm not trying to break their game or any of those kind of things, but I ask those questions, and so that's a thing. But I do think that the older games are tougher, and I think that homage games are tough. And I don't mean tougher as in less fun. They're absolutely fun, and we have a whole demographic of players that we've ignored for years, who even young players who enjoy things like Dark Souls. They enjoy those hard video games that involve a lot of challenge, and they're not getting it from what the official licensed product is putting out. And so that's been a turnoff for them, which instead of being a turnoff for them, that's like hey, Parallel Dimension Games wants to make some stuff that you enjoy. We want to make some stuff that's going to be a challenge for you, that's really going to take you back to that place where you need to be cognizant of what you're doing, and you need to maybe enjoy getting killed off every once in a while, So
Yeah, because those
yeah,
make
man.
for great stories and real
Epic
memories.
deaths are awesome.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, or from just taking a quick look at drive through, I counted something about 40 some odd credits to your design credits to your name. Is that about right, Casey? Or am I short?
Yeah, probably.
So yeah. Oh, and the guy.
Yeah, I've worked for Troll Lord. I was fortunate to work on Gods of the Forbidden North Volume 2 with Paul Pullman.
Nice.
I was grateful for that. I did his the one he wanted that was really inspired by Big Trouble in Little China, and that kind of thing. And he took the 15,000 words that I gave him and added like another 5 or 10,000 words of his own lore, and really spiced it up and made it just perfect for his setting. And I appreciated that so much. But then he just put my name on the adventure. I'm like, put your name on there too, man. By adding all that stuff, you wrote as much of it as I did, really. But yeah, man, great times there.
I gotta pause you, Casey. I'm super sorry. This is a monumental moment in time, guys. All right, this is a huge deal. I am going to put on our very first channel ever super chat, and that is from Blair Blur 4566 super chat, and she said, "Today this channel got added to the YouTube partner program, and I enabled super chats and all the cool stuff and whatever. And this is our first ever. So here's to you, Blair. Thank you so much. And that is super awesome. Thank you so much. Holy moly cow.
It is not a coincidence that the day that you got monetized is the day that you have this legend getting on your show.
Exactly.
It's not unconnected. People stall.
Air high five, everybody. Air high five.
Casey, I'm sorry to interrupt you on that, but
no, congratulations. That's fantastic. I'm glad. I was honored to be here.
Yeah.
And Fields of Battle. That was awesome. I noticed in your other video you had a copy of Battle System. One of my favorite games to play, but you couldn't play it on a table. It took up the whole basement. like literally, we'd play on a whole basement floor at a friend of mine's house. Yeah. And Fields of Battle, I wanted something that you could use whatever miniatures you had, regardless of who made them or their paint quality, and play on an actual table instead of in the entire basement. And I also wanted the characters to have an opportunity to change the events on the battlefield. And so, yeah, that's one of my favorite things I worked with Troll Lord. It was good stuff, and it works for every game system. So if you're a Shadow Dark person or an OSE person, Swords and Wizardry, if you play any of the crawl games, you could easily, or what it was written for, Castles and Crusades, you could slide that right on in there, and it's good times. It's good times.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
another pause, guys. Have to acknowledge another super sticker, whatever the heck that is.
Woo!
Well, you got one.
Dog saying good job while I can't read the raising his thumb up. Thank you so much, Blair. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
So did you ever play Battle System back in the day?
Yeah, we played in a friend of mine's basement, and like literally they had this big, huge open, and we'd bring all of the minis that we all collectively had together, plus all of the little chips that you popped out and the little cardboard pieces, and it would take a good 12 or 14 hours to play one of the battles from we'd start at like 9 a.m. and come back and play the next day. We would play like 9 to 6.
Question: Did you ever play that in Dark Sun? Because I know that was a core design element in Dark Sun, but I never
was it really. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had all kinds of land vehicles that you were intended. It started, I think, as a skirmish game that just got out of control. Dark Sun did, and they had all these rules, and I remember reading them, and I was like, "What the hell do I do with that?" And I could get people to play Dark Sun, but I couldn't get them to do the battle system part with me. It was supposed to be much more Mad Max than it wound up being, but cool stuff. And Casey, what you're talking about, different folks have a different flavors that they want out of their gaming experience. Makes complete sense. And there's a reason why folks who want more challenge or more of what we're going to be talking about with old school vibe, they're finding it underground. They're not getting it from Hasbro. And you were so right when you said that or implied that 5e system's okay, but the modules have been less than stellar. Because think about the universally regarded best module of 5e is Curse of Strahd, which the stuff they added to Weiss and Hickman was generally good, but it's still a rehash of Weiss and Hickman from 30 years before.
It's
not good.
It was one of my playing that in 5e, and I mean, I love the guy who ran it, and he spent all the money on all the virtual tabletop. He got all the stuff. He had all the extra supplement books and all of the thing. And I write some real dark adventures, and I found that book to be absolutely miserable to play. I found Ravenloft to be absolutely miserable as a player. And the stuff that was most miserable was the stuff that wasn't the Weiss and Hickman stuff that got rewritten for 5e. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that stuck out to me as like immersion breaking was that it describes the land as always gray and overcast. Well, if the sun never comes out, how does agriculture work? How do all of you not die of disease? Just basic fundamental stuff. But then also, if you never see the sun, then the darkness isn't as intimidating. It gets monotone.
Yeah,
which we've talked
you
about.
got to remember, 3/4 of the NPCs don't have a soul and may not really truly be alive. So, there's a certain amount of that. It was just, and I mean, no disrespect to any of the folks, that was one of their better written products as far as that goes. But it to me, it wasn't. It missed the mark of being the kind of Hammer horror or good Dracula movie, and it just got kind of heavy-handed in a lot of areas. So, I mean, we had an okay time. I personally didn't have a great time. I felt like it kind of drug on a little bit, and it started getting to be, I don't know. It got weird at the end.
Kind of.
Yeah. And man, Blair is trying to
love,
I guess. Man, it just you got a fan out there.
First of all, there is if you can see it on the YouTube, she sent a super sticker with a white unicorn with rainbow hair. Thank you so much for that. I love that. Blair, you're the best. Advanced Game, he did a super chat also saying hell yeah when you were talking about Dark Sun. And Blair also, holy smokes, super sticker pair. She says, "You are amazing. Pair character dancing under a pin confetti." Okay. Oh my god.
So,
Oh my
just so
god.
y'all
Thank
know,
you
all
guys
the
so
super
much.
chats for tonight go to Casey Christofferson because he ain't cheap, and as his booker, I get 15%. Don't forget.
Yeah.
I'm just
By the way, I do want to say, Stephen. Well, just so you guys know a little history on this channel, Stephen was the first interview that I did back in October. I think we ran it into each other at North Texas and kind of vibed and had some mutual friends and mutual stuff to talk about. And I had him as my first interview, and so he popped my interview cherry on this show. And just to kind of circle around, and you have a great interview with this gentleman over here, Casey. I'm going to put that in the chat second time. But yeah, you guys should go over there to Steven's channel if you get a chance and check out the interview he did with Casey. And that's it's a good watch for sure. So
we got some great questions coming up, but I want to
we
dig a little
do.
more
Thanks.
into the old school dangerous theme before we get to them. I mean, they're cool questions, but we do have a topic. So, all right, I said no safety rails. Well, what is it that old school might have that could define that? Well, save or die, baby.
Yeah.
5e doesn't have it. Save or
Yeah.
die. And it's doesn't matter how many hit points you got, doesn't matter what level you are. That centipede hits you wrong, it's done.
What was your just a max hit points for a fighter of like 12th or 14th level in AD&D was like 90 something.
Yeah.
And the red dragon dealt 88 points of damage every time it breathed fire unless you made your save, and it was 44 points of damage. So if you're a big, tough, strong fighter, 88 points of damage.
Yeah.
So that, and then you got level drains, and it didn't mess around.
Level drain where you gotta be a certain level to get your levels back without incurring a huge experience point penalty. That was a tough hit. Yeah. That was some once people figured out things level drained, you didn't want to just run up on any zombie looking guy anymore because that zombie looking guy might be a white. You didn't
that's the truth. I've used that many times in games. It's funny to kind of double click on that too. In BX, right, which I consider, obviously consider old school. In the definition that I have of old school is probably 2E, the power creep really started, I think, and AD&D even too, from BX and OD&D. If you want to talk power creep, okay, but BX, you can get bit by a centipede, it's save or die.
Yeah, cooked.
And there's no second.
A couple years ago,
and there's no second. There's no second.
Well, you made your save. Thank
there's
God.
no second death save. There's no second, advantage, disadvantage on it. There's no, there's none of that. There's no buffer. There's no, and to the older school play, AD&D gave you that buffer of up to -10. You know what I mean? In BX or anything like that, which is not my system. AD&D is my system. I mean, you guys all know that. It's 0 is dead. That's it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the different ways that death is handled. So originally 0 HP, you're done. And then Zeb Cook was kind enough to put in you could bleed out up to -10. So if you got hit to 0 or below, and you weren't already past -10, then every round you kept bleeding a hit point, and when you hit -10, you were done. But if you did get patched up, you only got back to 1 hit point. You were basically doing this. All your spells were gone. You were just looking for a safe place to hide and cry until you could sleep for 24 hours or something like that. So it wasn't this 5e whack-a-mole where you can get knocked down and pop back up and be fine over and over again. So, that's a safety rail. Can you still die? Yes, but you've got like 3-4 chances to avoid it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we also have to recall old school games were designed around a henchman hireling economy that was
Buffer. Yeah.
hard
Mhm.
boiled into the game. So if you take one of the more modern games, say starting at 3, where they definitely kind of remove that whole henchman hireling thing out, unless you've got a familiar, an animal companion, or one of those kind of situations, whatever your flavor of preferred pet rock, and I don't mean that as an insult, it's just a phrase I use.
It's a pet giant bird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever that thing,
ROC.
because
Yeah.
I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in that kind of stuff because those are the kind of things, whether it's a ring that has an elemental that you can summon from time to time and build a relationship, or
Yeah.
some of the different critters and whatnot. Those NPC relationships are what keep people engaged in the game. They always have.
Yeah.
So in old so do we say that the power creep is that they gave you more attacks and they gave you more hit points, or could you say they rolled those npcs that you accrued over the time of your adventuring into your characters, so now you're doing more than one guy's thing, because in AD&D you were doing more than one
Yeah.
guy's thing as
Yeah.
well. So it's hard to say. I know that wasn't their design philosophy whatsoever. I'm just being the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Well, but you
They
also
didn't think
mentioned
about that at all.
that
I,
folks
want to
coming.
say real
Go
quick
ahead.
to Agile, thanks for jumping on. And I see a couple other people in there. Poor Orc Child. He's says that I have pet
Boulders.
boulders. Yeah. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Jason
Do we
Jacobson,
want to
Zeb
get
Cook
into
was
the
the
subject
designer of
topic?
2E. That's what I'm talking about for the -10.
Yeah.
But Casey had mentioned that folks coming to the game from different backgrounds, like video games. Well, the folks who originally made it were coming from war game, where death was all over the place,
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
over it.
One hit
all
too.
over it. And
Yeah.
so, like, a character being able to take more than one hit was a big deal in their perspective.
Mhm.
So yeah, that feeds into the what were they thinking when they set up the system that they set up? They thought that was a big deal.
Yeah. 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 I like that. Okay. So let me pause here. So are we getting into the topic, or we got more coming from Casey about what?
Oh, well, I can lay out what we're working on right now real quick. Parallel Dimension Gaming, www.paralleldimensiongaming.com, or you can check us on. We're on the X. We're on I know we're on Instagram, Facebook, and maybe a couple other places right now. Our next up is going to be Curse of the Crimson Wake. It will be a 5e adventure because it was kind of natively written for 5e, and it's more of your kind of exploratory role play type thing. So you got to explore, you got to talk to people, role play, whatever. It's sort of like the movie and the book The Mist, but which is great. There's a curse. There's a sea goddess. She's got a curse on the town. The fog itself is actually an active entity that's kind of trying to kill you. So if you're into the 5e genre, it's I think a really really awesome adventure. John Peregrine is the guy who wrote it, and he's a novelist, and he's also a huge D&D fan. He's trying to combine his love of writing these adventure, fantasy, romance novels with an actual adventure module. So we're excited. Thank you, Angelo. And so we're excited about that. That'll probably be our next Kickstarter. After that, for all of our old school fans, we're gonna probably do a 3-pack of adventures and articles and monsters and mayhem for for Shadow Dark. So in that one, we have one called the Buzzard House. I don't know if you've played any of the Buzzard House, Stephen. It starts out as a traditional haunted house type adventure where you go in because there's possibly loot, likely missing persons go in the house and never come out, and then the whole next level of that is just bananas because okay, it's a portal to hell, and there's a hell hag that used to be old Mother Buzzard who's harvesting larvae in the underworld. Yeah, so it's gross, it's awesome, it's good fun.
Jerry.
We have the
The
one
whole family?
Forest Fracas, which is, like I said, the Don Bluth kind of dark Disney experience, and where you can play as the fairies that have been turned into forest animals, or you can play as the player characters. Run through that. It's really cool. That's by Jeff Hartness. And then my next one that I did is that some folks played at North Texas a year or two ago, a little bit of it, and it's been like heavily honed in, called In the Fade. And In the Fade is the fadeaway inn where you're hired to go be a bodyguard for a guy, and then you get to figure out what's going on with this inn. And it's those are part of what I call neighborhood haunts, because they're all based on real haunted
Nice.
places that I've experienced in my life. And so then the last one that's coming up, where we are approved and we're getting all of our stuff together to work with that collaboration that Old School Essentials Necrotic Gnome is doing for their demonic grimoire. Our book is called The Dimension Delver's Guide to Demons and Devils. It's written
Oh,
by
wow.
myself, Artem Shukayev, Anthony Pryor. He's a big name in the business. He's done tons of awesome adventures, and a lot of the demons and devils that we put in the book, the concept came from our artist Artem Shukayev. So no, if you see the artwork, it's not AI. That kid is what AI has been stealing from. I've known him since he was 14 years old, and literally AI steals from him, not the other way around. Yeah,
Artem is crazy
he's
talented.
so good. And I showed you guys the mock-up of the cover the other night, and I can't wait to release that, because the cover, I swear to God, I just played D&D. I'm not satanic in any way, shape, or form, but the cover looks like something you would find in
in Aleister Crowley's
in
library.
Aleister Crowley's library. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to write about demons, go do it like
you might as
you
well
mean
do
it.
it. Yeah.
That's our next 4 things that we got to go on.
That's
It's a
awesome.
lot. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us on and asking
You
about
know,
it.
Casey, I love to get, I love to get you back here and dive deep, if you've got, projects that are, well, let me just back up and say this. That one in particular sparked up my, we all, growing up in the 80s planned, you looked at the monster manual and you saw the pictures of, and, the articles of the 9 hells. And, it just, that kind of stuff was really, it was taboo at that time, number one. And then number 2, I mean, that was the very reason all my rule books got thrown away several times and burned and all kinds of stuff. But that really perks my ears up. And I love that. Is that already written? Is that what you're saying? Or
yeah, the writing is all done. The art is like all done. We're just gonna lay it out. And the Kickstarter for the Dimension Delver's Guide is going to be a big collab with OSE and Necrotic Gnome, that they're doing the whole month of May. So it's going to be like May 5th or 6th until June 4th or 5th. And there's 4 or 5 other collabs. Mary Mushman, those guys have one. There's a few other folks who got some
are they
books.
being kickstarted, or what's happening with that?
Yeah, it's going to be on BackerKit, and what it is, and I've had a chance to look at it. So Necrotic Gnomes, their demonic grimoire is absolutely kicks ass. They've got their own philosophy on the underworld and the hell, heaven, demons, devils, all that kind of stuff that's in the book, and it's all very game friendly. It doesn't cleave to the old, Wizards of those properties. It's kind of got its own vibe. It's basically, and I can't get into more than that because I'm on that non-disclosure thing, but it is cool. All of your favorite statted demons and devils from AD&D and all the other books are in there with the OSC stats and rules. There's magic items, monsters, all that. So that's the primary book. And then when we found out, and I'll tell you how this broke down, we found out, well, we've been developing and building our new company since like September, October. And so around October, I guess, was the time when the folks from Necrotic Gnome came up with this whole thing to do their demon book. And we found out about it like 3rd or 4th of January. And I was like, Artem and I had already been working on Monster Book anyways. So we're like, let's do this. And so we've just been cranking away at it. Artem would make all of these great notes and ideas, and I started writing up the monsters. And then I realized there's just no way I'm going to get all of this stuff done myself. I've worked with Anthony in the past. He's awesome. And I was like, Anthony, here's all my notes. Turn this into stuff that we can use. And
Yeah.
so Anthony just went great guns to get that going. Artem continued to work on the artwork. We're hoping, and Levi Combs of Planet X fame, he's done some stuff. So we may have enough material that we might end up with 2 books out of this deal, but we're going to release one with this thing right now, and then maybe another one like next spring, right? So yeah, we got a lot going, but yeah, that one's exciting. And the Shadow Dark adventures, me immersing myself in Shadow Dark. I don't know if I have my book downstairs. I have more sticky notes jammed into that thing than you can shake a stick at. I studied the hell out of it. I think Kelsey did a great job, and I can't wait for people to play my adventures in Shadow Dark. Just if they thought they were freaky before, million times freakier. So
nice. Yeah, we definitely, if you're game, we'll have you back before it goes live on back.
Don't forget our Highway Over the Mountain, which is going to be part of the same kind of format that we have with our Parallel Dimension. That's our whole thing. This is our Shadow Dimension. Shadow Dark's our Shadow Dimension stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're real. My whole thing, I'm really into that whole Parallel Dimension stuff because there's just too many weird things that are I'll get into that at another time. But anyways, yeah, it's the whole dimension things. It's like I like the idea that there's more than meets the eye, and you could just slip through like that.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say, take care, Jim. Thanks for jumping on. And he says I have to jump, but you guys are awesome. Looking forward to catching more on YouTube. The talk of the 80s games brought back memories of playing Twilight 2000 with my friends. That is, I didn't even know that you played RPGs, Jim. That's so awesome. Great memories, great times. Take care, folks. That's cool. Sword and Stones is here. Thanks for jumping on, man. And by the way, I did pin a bunch of questions that we'll get to soon, and they just all happen to be from Freezer. So we'll get to those questions, Freezer. By the way, put your questions in, guys. We will definitely get to them. If I miss, I apologize, but yeah. Wow, that's a really good rundown, Casey. I'm pretty excited about a lot of the stuff you said. So that's
I want to put a plug in for his Roslyn Asylum, which that was one of the 2 games I played with him that first time in North Texas, and yeah, that screwed me up pretty good. And,
Giddy grins, he's gonna get you.
Oh, friggin' Giddy grins, man! He had me messed up. And I've also picked up Tower of Jetafar because you told me about it and it sounded bonkers. So I want to get into that. Man. But I'm really looking forward to checking out that. Was it One Last Thing? Because that's what I'm talking about. The kind of adventure design. I've just started. I'm just a couple pages into it, so don't grill me about the details just yet. But that's what I'm talking about. He can hit you in the high concept, and he can hit you in the beans and bullets of rolling dice and adventuring. Because just the hook for the adventure had me feeling just like the first introductory paragraph that you wrote about.
Thank you, Blair.
How you hook the players into this. I was like, oh, I don't even know this jerk, and I already feel bad for him. Oh man, he had me hooked. Yeah.
The hook, you can give the hook. The hook is your favorite bard has been murdered, and this guy is like somebody who's been singing your praises for years, and the way to hook him in is introduce him to the guy 3 adventures before you're ready to run it.
See, yeah, and recently we were talking to Mark Taramino, and he was talking about a new module, and the idea hit me of a kind of an open jaw module where something happens and then some time passes, not in this module, and then consequences happen. And that's maybe I thought about what you said, and it sat back there for a while, and it came spitting out because you're supposed to already know this character, and then bam, plot happens. And Freezer, I haven't reviewed these yet because I take forever to make review videos. They're not
Yeah.
short. They're like an hour long.
He does. He does. You put a lot of time and effort in your reviews, dude.
Because I walk through the thing and comment on what I think is important, what works, what doesn't work. It's like if an editor's going through your stuff and saying, okay, this could do better. This is awesome. This could use this and that. So I've been telling Casey I'm going to review Rise of the Scion for like 2 years now, and it's still on the list. I will get to it. But
Giddy grins, man. That was a
freaking giddy grin.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Man,
didn't even see the guy, and I was terrified of him. But so hit points. Yeah, you might be right about that, Jason. I remember from second E as being an option rule, but don't forget in the earliest editions of D&D, your cleric didn't even have spells at first level. So, and I like that.
Fighter at first level,
but it's a test of faith. How much do you believe your God's going to be on your side? And that's great role playing.
Yeah.
So
but if you're out there with first level parties and one of them goes down, your cleric can pray over your body, and that's it. He can't heal nothing. He can't even cast a light spell on you.
Clark Peterson, when he would run his games, if you wanted to be a paladin in his games and you had the stats for it, you still had to play a whole level as a fighter with no armor and only a staff and a robe.
I love it. Yes.
You had to make it to second level, and then you could start as a first level paladin.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Carried that forever. I think 25 years I've carried that. That's so cool.
Yeah, do it. Keep the good ideas other people come up with.
Yeah. So Casey, are we going to see you at North Texas this year?
It depends on how this whole situation that has me wiggling around goes for me. If I end up having to get any kind of surgery done, it's going to be probably in the weeks prior to that. And however much, if I have to do one of these or wear one of these, it's
not a cool thing to. I just
I'm hoping it's just going to go away, but I'm a month and a half in, and it's probably not going away. So
welcome, Flint. Thanks for jumping on. I know all too well about. I haven't personally had any surgeries on my shoulder, but I had 2 friends that just recently had them, and one very good friend was on my couch for 3 weeks healing, and I can't imagine being in that.
I got to learn how to type like this. That's going to be a pain.
But apparently you've been, and we've ran into each other. But I didn't know that, I guess. So
as we were talking about, we pass each other going this way, but you're always playing in the high end games, and I'm always in the table in the middle of the common room with all of the hoi polloi. So.
Well, it's very funny. That's probably one of my favorite cons.
It's a great con.
I really love North Texas. I think it's a great job, and the size of the con for me is hits it right on the money. I'm not a huge fan of the big ones. I'm not that one is a perfect con. And Gary, as a matter of fact, Gary, who's running the con after Doug passed away years ago, he'll be on the show in a couple more weeks, and we're going to talk about
love those guys. Absolutely.
He's a great dude. We're going to talk. He's going to pump up the release of the tickets and stuff, and Steven, by the way, one thing that really I loved is the interview you did with him talking about con logistics, and that was amazing, dude. Like you did a really good job there, and I think I've told you before, but I'm gonna
appreciate it. No, I mean,
how do you afford
to put these things on?
Go check out, you guys that are here. Go check out Steven's channel, and I'll put it in the show notes. His YouTube channel where he does a lot of interviews, reviews. I mean, you're reviewing modules, and you're not just talking about them for 10 minutes. You're jumping in, you're deep diving into them.
Rum.
Yeah.
I have a couple cocktail recipes. I read stories. I read whole books.
Good stuff.
Hey, what's up, Fred? Good to see you. Go check out his channel, guys. I'm gonna put it in the show notes. I mean, you do a great job over there. And you're also, he gets dressed up for his presentation too. He's all like fine gentleman, and got a little scarf, and
Well, my audience deserves the best. Yours gets a T-shirt. But mine
and here I am with my Addicted to Goth Girl shirt. That's the best you guys get today. There you go. So, and we got the Misfits. What do you got on today? Oh shoot!
Satan's mentally challenged younger brother. That's an actual quote from Stephen King about Glenn Beck, and I agree with that. Glenn's a good guy in some ways, and he's retarded in other ways, and he knows that. Just like I'm retarded in certain ways, and I know that. I try to be fun-tarded, because there's a difference. The retarded, you're a jerk and you're messed up. But if you're fun-tarded, you brighten people's day. Hopefully,
well, you guys, I think that this is probably a good segue for us to talk about the subject, the discussion subject, which I'm really excited to hear your guys' opinions on it, and you guys too in the audience. Please pipe up about this stuff. We're going to talk about why old school D&D feels a little bit more dangerous than some of the more modern RPGs, and Casey really nailed it too. A lot of the old school stuff comes from wargaming, and then you got some of the newer school stuff. And I'm not trying to just my opinion,
flavors, right?
And here's your YouTube channel. Let's definitely put that in here. I will get that in for you, Stephen. Thank you. That a lot of those kind of more modern games kind of came out of video games, which is totally a different style of kind of play. And it's interesting. Fantasy, take care, man.
Take care.
You just squirreled me, so I'm going to say this because you just plugged it. You guys, I just did today become part of the YouTube partner program, so you can do super chats, and I also added a couple membership levels, which I'm trying to figure out what to do there, but there will be giveaways and stuff for members and all that neat stuff. So let's have fun. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. I kind of, it is, I see a difference in there. Doesn't mean that, it's bad. As long as you're playing games, I don't care. Let's all play games. But what I think is interesting is and I prefer to run games in AD&D. That's my level of comfort and level of, and it really has to do with, because that's just what I grew up with. You know what I mean? And chasing that nostalgia. John, I will say one thing. So I did a video this Monday, and I kind of hit 9 points that I'd like to talk about and hear, people's opinions on it. But the first kind of thing that I kind of see as a big difference is the world in old school it's not balanced, and there's no CRs, there's no this needs to be fair. I don't see a balance in old school games versus in one thing I think is really interesting. The option to run was kind of ingrained in old school, and so that's the first thing that I kind of I see as not a difference, but just as a flavor for old school.
Right.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. You got that's very true. The world. Okay, so getting back to the player skill mattering issue is that a hallmark of old school games is you need to be responsible for keeping track of where you are, and that involves mapping. You can map overland, you can map in dungeons, this and that. It makes a difference. I see that get pushed by older school mentality game masters, because the ability for the player to screw things up for themselves it's an acknowledged part of that philosophy. Whereas 5e, it doesn't seem like it. There's a lot more safety rails, or the kind of people that I've played with, they don't want to map. and they refuse to map. And if you're going to play with them, well, you have to accommodate that somehow. Now, it's not to say all of them are like that, but just the ones I've experienced have been like that. And so, yeah, they're used to more safety rails and consequences for things that happen to them in 5e, or not old school game, I guess. No, we'll stick with 5e to be more precise with my understanding of it. Is they don't have the save or suck, the save or die. They don't have the, like, you get hit with hold person in older school versions of that, you're screwed for a long time, and you just gotta hope they don't come and just wail on you.
There ain't no save and sleep.
That's it. Whereas in 5e, every round you get a new save.
Really?
Until
I
you
didn't
break
know that.
free of it. Oh yeah. So enchanters way nerfed in 5e. Whereas if you met an enchanter and an illusionist back in the day, you should be afraid of them. And that's not good. So consequences matter. So like when you're talking about, Angelo, sometimes running is the right choice. Yes, sometimes that is, because if you don't run, you're probably not going to be able to just grind your way through it. Because another feature of 5e versus old school games is that in 5e and 5.5, the monsters are nerfed in power levels relative to a player character. And like, that's an intentional part of their design. Like, I think in 5.5, at least they were talking about it. I don't know if it made it into the final rules because I haven't read them. Was that monsters can't crit. Why can't a monster crit?
Yeah.
But player characters can. So it's setting up a power imbalance, an opportunity to screw people up.
Yeah.
And that's, I thought
Yeah.
a lot of the people that were all about 5e considerations were concerned about power imbalances and oppression and this and that. And here they are oppressing the monsters that they claim to love so much.
The monsters aren't real.
Monsters can crit in my games for sure.
Yeah, they're not really monsters.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, what's your kind of take on balance, Casey?
Well, again, it goes back to my vibe on. I think that many of the adventures were selected, developed, and written by people who were being. I hate to. I don't know how do you put it. They were being put out there as a demi-celebrity. Okay, so when you have your demi-celebrity author, writer, whatever, create their very first module, and then you have to have like Chris Perkins or somebody like that, whose nickname used to be the human laser printer. Right, perfect. He was an English teacher back in the day, from what I understand. So
that explains a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, great dude. Met him a couple times, and he'd have to go in and make those adventures like work, right? Or his staff would have to go and make those adventures play, right? But they weren't creating something that was necessarily designed to be challenged. They were creating something that was designed to be experienced. So if you look at they adopted the adventure path thing late in third edition, 3.5. They adopted that whole adventure path philosophy, and then everything they released for 5e had to be an adventure path. And even Ravenloft had to be an adventure path, And I mean, to me, the original and still best adventure path is just stringing together with your own mind the slave lords, the giants, the demon web pits. You run the whole gauntlet of that, and that was my generation's adventure path. And when you got to the end of that, you felt like you had done something, and that it was a challenge. And it's one of my friends, he passed a couple of years ago, and one of the last things we talked about was when his halfling thief jumped on the back of Loathe with his +4 dagger and stabbed her in the back, and she flopped over on her back and rolled around and crushed him to death, and he died. And then one of our other players jumped up and stabbed her abdomen while she was crushing the halfling to death. And she only had 66 hit points, and so they beat her. And they're like, "Yay!"
Yay!
And I mean, I'm sure we were 14 years old and made up half the way to get there, 15, whatever. And that
So
was
what?
D&D when we were kids, and that was 32 years ago, and I had a great time or whatever. And I think that a lot of their adventure design kind of really missed that fun because everything had to be an adventure path, and you wanted people to make it to the end of the adventure path so that that group of folks can share that
experience
together. It's like going to a movie rather than playing a game, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's their style, but that's what they grew up. They grew up playing that type of game because a video game has some kind of end credit scene, and so they were trying to get to the end credit scene. It's a different philosophy and a different mindset, and it's fun watching those folks discover old school games now that they've made it through that whole thing, and now they're coming back to it. So
Well, it's funny. It's funny what kind of brought this up for me, and I'll just throw it out. Is I've heard from a lot of not newer players, but players of kind of the newer editions saying like, "What?" and come back and start playing because there's been a surgence to kind of play some of the older stuff.
the glowing liquid.
And you hear a lot like, "Whoa, this is tough." Like, "Whoa, you mean I don't pick from an array of abilities to put into my character? I have to roll 3d6, those kind of things.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is dangerous." That's why I kind of, thought of this kind of topic and, wanted to address it. And just, and like I said, this is just our opinion too. So,
You mentioned stats, and back in the day, I mean, yeah, you did have different methods that you could use, but you generally rolled for your stats. And a common method was 3d6 in order. There's a reason that became a trope because it was done enough. Whereas a default for 5e that I've experienced is that you use a standard array.
Yeah, it's an array.
And at worst, you have a mildly bad skill or bad ability score. But because of the way 5e is set up, you just plunk it into a slot where your character never has to worry about it. Then you're fine.
That's a video game thing too.
Yeah. And so 5e focuses on character optimization, but you mentioned that your characters in old school stuff, they're far more limited in their scope. Not everybody can heal. 5e, everybody can heal at least themselves. And so you need each other. And I'm a firm believer that limitations breed creativity, because if all you've got is a bow, but you've got a problem that a bow can't apparently solve, you got to figure out how to make it happen. And when you do, that is a big feeling of accomplishment, because I'm also a believer that the higher the risk and the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. If you can just float through stuff and just have it handed to you, you're not going to appreciate it. That's why I like the milestone leveling system. It really makes sense in the context you are mentioned about the video games where you're supposed to get to the ending and see it. Milestone, now I get it. Now I see why that's a thing. But you didn't really earn it. Old school, you had to earn everything you get. Even if it's a Monty Hall campaign, you had to get there at some point.
Yeah.
Brass
Monkey, welcome.
Yep. And on that kind of angle, like one of the things that Gary Gygax would talk about with us would be that he didn't, like, for example, with third edition, he's like, I like it enough as a game, but it felt like a superhero game instead of like a game where you have mortals or what have you that have a chance of fallout. They put the balance and the level caps and all of that stuff on there for a reason, because they wanted to kind of keep their own. We talk about guardrails. Well, that was the guardrail for AD&D and original D&D.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
Was level capping and all of that kind of stuff. You can't resurrect an elf, or you can't raise dead on an elf. You can only reincarnate them or wish them back alive.
Yep.
I forgot.
A lot of people forget about that
stuff. And I mean, and it's funny because, like I said, I'm totally not trying to defend 5e. There's a lot of wonky stuff in there that I didn't care for. It's interesting, when I ran the second City of Brass campaign that I've run, and it takes about 2 years to run the whole thing, 1.5 years. I ran the first one in 3.5, and then that's the expanded version that came out for Swords and Wizardry and 5e. And I was not as familiar with 5e when I started running it as I was when I finished. And I will tell you, early it's like those characters, you know, we talk about balance and stuff, and like I had a ranger player and he was driving me nuts because at low level, the dude was just murking everything that you put in front of him, and he's killing stuff that's like challenge levels according to their rule set, which I never thought the challenge level thing worked worth a damn. It's like more of a suggestion than anything else. He was just dropping stuff left and right, and I'm like, I don't even know. And then we make it to the Plain of Molten Skies, and he walked through one of those radiation zones and was dead as hell. But because I'm a nice person, I just fudged the rolls because I didn't want to. I mean, it was like, wow, what a crappy way to die. And if I would have been playing AD&D, it would have been like, go tape your character sheet to the wall there, boss. But, you know.
Wow.
My old house,
you don't
we had a wall. All the dead characters, you go on the wall. If you die, on the wall. We had one dude put 6 character sheets on the wall in a single day. So
yeah.
Were you playing on guard? What the?
Yeah, no kidding. I think the most out of a game that I've seen, that I've ran, was, because that's the thing too. You just roll up a new character real quick, and it's 10 minutes, and you get back on the horse. I think the most and he kept dying over and over and over. It's three times in a session.
The one thing we talk about, oh man, I had it and I lost it. It's the stat thing.
Ability scores,
okay.
rolling them,
you rolled straight down. That character wasn't worth the damn and died. You rolled straight down again. That character wasn't worth the damn and died. Eventually, you were going to roll some stats that was going to be a character that stuck. And I think that's why they went to the array system, because you want to start with a character that's going to stick. But I think the learning curve of playing with characters that can die real easily is also valuable. We played what was the game? Treasure, was it Treasure Hunt? The module where you started out with 0 level characters. And one of my close friends from childhood, he rolled like a 3 for strength. He rolled like a 4 for constitution. He rolls an 18 for intelligence. It's pretty obvious he's going to be the wizard. He had 1 hit point. He made it through the entire module with 1 hit point and a strength of 3. If he can do it, anybody can do it.
That's player skill right there. He had to figure it out. He had to make it happen. And that by itself is an accomplishment worthy of telling the story. I'm going to remember that. And I'm going to, what do you remember the guy's name or the character's name?
His name was Donnie.
Donnie. Okay.
Donnie and I played D&D for many, many years. Yeah.
Donnie, you're friggin' hero. That's right.
That's a really.
He almost died to a goblin. He was like,
I bet he was terrified. And that made it more intense of an experience. That's
hey,
amazing.
Bunny Daniels here. Thanks for jumping on. Good to see you.
Hey, Bunny.
By the way, while you're on here, I'm gonna plug your latest Kickstarter that's live right now. Those of you guys, we had them on earlier this week, Bunny and Zane, talking about, and 2 of the great artists, Mark and Lucas. Druskara, scan that, guys, and go and support that awesome project written for the Shadow Dark rule set. We had a lot of fun with them on earlier this week, and Kickstarter is doing really well. So congratulations, Bunny and Zane. You guys, that was a good time. Looking forward to the next project too, by the way. I
was just talking to some guys today that were really hyped about Druskara. So
so that's a really good segue, because I mean, there's so many things I had that list of 9 things that I talked about in the video, but one of them that you guys just talked about, which I mean, let's go right to it, is, and we covered it a little bit, but player skill matters more than character skill. What's on your character sheet didn't matter so much as what was in the player's head. You know what I mean? Sure, there's a distinction. You use players, player knowledge versus character knowledge, but really you're forced not to walk into a room and roll a perception check and find, oh, there's the secret door, or there's the trap, or there's the whatever, which is kind of a modern way of playing. But back in the day, we had this, okay, what do you do, guys? Okay, I take my 10-foot pole and I start poking around and over this part of the room, you know.
First, I put on my gloves so that
Yeah.
poison.
But that's a very big, you know, and
I wiped the underneath the handles of all of the treasure chests and all of the doorknobs.
Now, are those thick leather gloves you've got? Because certain poison needles will get through regular gloves.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But you gotta be able to feel it.
You know, Casey and Steven, I don't like focusing on I'm not a differences person, but this is an obvious evolution of the game where they're now you know, players are used to having a stat or a skill stat or some type of a mechanic on your character sheet that is going to determine or not determine, but just what's the right word? Do away with the old way of kind of how it was done, which was tell the DM what you do and he'll tell you what happens, not roll your skill and I'll tell you what happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a very big, I think that's a key thing. I think, you know,
that's a big thing with Castles and Crusades. If you play with Steven or any of those guys, you know, they don't want you rolling an attribute check unless there's no other option. Tell me what you do. Attributes are the last check. One of the best things Steven said when he was running a game at, I think, a Gorilla Con in like Eastern Kansas a million years ago. He goes, somebody's like, well, what if I need to craft this? He goes, what's that say at the top of your character sheet? You know, the guy goes, thief. He goes, you're a thief, not a barrel maker. You know, he goes, if you want to go forge swords, you're not a player character, you're an NPC. You're a blacksmith. You know, so that kind of sunk in as like that's pretty astute. Your job is you are a adventurer.
Yeah. You're one of those psychos that goes out and disturbs crypts and faces death for 50 gold that the town scraped together. And I think it's in the Castles and Crusades Player's Handbook where it's got a little box that says, don't roll for everything. Just say what you do and okay, you did it. Here's the details. Or, you know, no, it didn't work. And try something else. And I think that's a good idea. You know, engage your brain and engage your creativity. Rolling the dice, you only do that when like you have to.
Yeah.
And there's no other like reasonable way of determining your outcome.
Yeah. You know, I think that kind of creep started in AD&D when they kind of released the adventurers. I mean, the Wilderness Survival Guide and the Dungeoneer Survival Guide, and that kind of skill system. You know what I mean? And it kind of turned the game into a kind of skill. I mean, these were mundane skills. They weren't super, you know. But I think in 3E, was it 3E where they kind of added perception and other things like that, or was it more 4? I can't remember, to be honest with you.
That probably showed up in 3. I checked out at 3. It wasn't my bag.
Or was it second?
Then I discovered the darkness of my soul of vampire. So you got me.
Yeah. God, what a crazy system vampire is. That's it's made right for that kind of world, though. It's really,
but it's definitely not old school. It's a storyteller system. It's a touchy-feely like role play story.
It fits really well for that whole setting, I think.
I think that game is due for a big like LARP comeback. I have a vibe that's around. All those people that were big into LARPing the vampire all have kids that are about 15 now.
Get them into it.
Did my vampire LARPing. I saw grown people chase each other while going.
Oh, Jason, the old Gorilla Con was held at Pittsburgh State University in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and their mascot is the Pit Gorillas. So this would have been a long time ago, like 20 some years ago. 20. Well, when did Castles and Crusades come out? Because this would have been like 2 years before the original Castles and Crusades Player's Handbook came out. About a year and a half, I'd say. That's a little while ago. I'm a little seasoned here. So
A little salty.
yeah,
But
that too.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for seeing that question there. Yeah, I miss everything. Another kind of thing that's interesting that I kind of want to point out too is, and Stephen, you talked a little bit about this too already. Healing really mattered.
Yeah, consequences.
The cleric really mattered in the game. Really, really matters. Healing is slow. In BX and AD&D, I think. I've house ruled this, but one night of sleep is 1 hit point.
Yeah, I think basic was 1d4. I got generous and said it was 1d4 plus your con bonus if you had one.
Yeah.
And but it made you didn't have your short rest, you didn't have your pretty much fill
Surge,
and
whatever.
you couldn't spend your hit dice, you couldn't
I gotta do this for
everything.
my best friend. So
that's cool, man.
Me,
you good. You didn't have your
got it. Did you get a good one?
On a long rest.
It's pretty blurry, which he's fine. He's probably 4 to 6
Tell him
years
to jump on.
So.
But you know how I've house ruled that, Stephen, is what a full night's rest for me is if the person's 7th level, you get 7 hit points back. It's 1 hit point per level.
Monkey,
that's what I do in AD&D.
That sounds fair.
Kind of makes sense because at a 7th level, 1 hit point is not going to really matter. So at first level, it matters. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's interesting because everybody can heal, or you can heal yourself, or so that kind of takes the danger out of stuff. Out of for me it does, because I played a lot of everything, you know what I mean, and I kind of find that a little daunting. That why do we need a cleric?
Well, and think about it. If I remember right, from 2nd E back, in order to get the hit points and spells back from resting, you needed 24 hours to get that.
Yeah.
5E, 8 hours. You could be interrupted a little bit by a random encounter and still get everything back. That's 1/3 the time to get more resources back. Because if you had 50 hit points, you were down to 1 in older editions, you're going to be out for a while, weeks, maybe months. In 5e, an 8-hour power nap where you also pull some guard shift, it's all back. There's way less threat there. And we get a bunch of good comments in here.
A lot of
Freezer's saying he treats rest more narrative. If you rest at a tavern who supplies you with food and such, then you heal. If you rest in a cave with shoddy campfire, nope.
Right.
That's interesting.
And Monkey,
what if you're a deep
Monkey, you're not wrong. There was some residual satanic panic backlash in the early 90s because of the people who were dressing up goth and playing rock, paper, scissors in the corner
for instead of rolling dice.
Yeah. And but you're not wrong. That was the thing. And I do like to comment on that a little bit. I was very blessed during the satanic panic era. My aunt, she's super Catholic and she's the sweetest lady and I love her to death. And I made her buy me the original Deities and Demigods for my birthday, the one with all the good stuff in it, and my grandma had ordered me the monster manual, with the old cover with the Sutherland cover on it and everything. And she's like, "But there's boobs and stuff on it, Mom," and that kind of thing. And that one. And my grandma literally, she's like, "I could care less. He's reading that stuff. I can't read what's on that page, and I read a book a day." It's like if he reads it and understands it, and it's making him interested in reading, I ain't got a problem with it. So
that one.
He's like, "But what about the devil worship stuff?" And she goes, "Have you really ever met anybody? Really?" And well, no. It's like, does it sound like a bunch of made up stuff? Well, yeah. So my grandma was really wise, and she was a little, Scottish English lady, and she just didn't put up with a lot of the nonsense. She thought most of that was goofery. And she's like, "He's got friends and they play games." Yeah. Oh, that's a famous one right there.
Turn this. Oh yeah. Oh my god. I gotta mute this. Oh god.
Yeah.
And I'm good. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
was
had
I
Kiss,
was I
we
was a
had all the
product of
Kiss
that.
album. Me and my uncle, Love Gun, everything. Yeah. Kiss Alive, all of the blood capsules, the whole bit, man. We love that.
Nice.
My grandma could have cared less.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Dr. Phobos says sleep for a couple hours and report to duty. And yeah, if you're in the military, you know that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I've,
why I
Dr.
got
Phobos,
out.
I read
I've
that the
never been.
wrong way because when you said AD&D had nothing to do with it, when I first read that, I didn't read LDS. I read LSD, and I was like, yeah, I can identify with D&D and LSD too. So I apologize, but that was. And if you know any of the guys who helped write it, they knew a little bit about LSD as well.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I didn't give a shout out to Kier Hershey and welcome or good to see you. Thanks for joining the channel.
K. Hershey Jr.
How do you pronounce that? Kier Hershey Jr.
Oh, it's Ken Hershey.
Oh, K. Kirsch.
Oh, Ken Hershey. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, how's it
Ken
going?
Hershey. Oh, okay.
You know him. He's
Sounds
been to
familiar.
the North Texas a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, dude. Yeah.
Did all the 3D printing. He 3D printed that big dungeon for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely a product of that time, man. That was like I said earlier in the show. I mean, one time I fished out my books from the trash can, and somebody said, I think my parents were like, we burned the Dungeon Master Guide and a couple other things, and we were screaming.
I'm sorry. Why did I say
out of
Ken?
it, and I'm like, come on.
Sorry.
That's tough. Yeah.
Keith's cool,
Yeah.
man. I love his stuff. He has some really great ideas for games. You ever get a chance to game with Keith? Absolutely do so. He's
Good
got
recommendation.
crazy
Cool.
good stuff.
What's up,
Yeah.
Keith? Yeah, appreciate it, Brass. Yeah, we enjoy.
I've gotten a chance to look at some of his campaign stuff, and it's really cool. So I was grateful to get invited in to look at that. So
Nice.
that's one of the things, Parallel Dimension Gaming, by the way. If you are like on the fence about producing your own book or anything like that, we will do anything from read it and decide if we want to publish it, or I can hire all of the artists. You can use our editors. You can use our different skill sets. We'll set you up, and you can take what we finish for you and go on the road and do your own Kickstarter after we're done. So if that's your thing, we can do that too.
Yeah, because there's a lot that goes into making these things.
Ton of
Even
these,
if
and
you're
we do
just
have
doing a
experience
PDF.
on all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Layout, editing for multiple systems. I work with some of, I believe, the best artists in the business, and I know everybody else. I know all the other guys too, and some of them I love them and I want to use them, but everybody else uses them so much. I'm not trying to look like other people's products. You know what I mean? But and I've had the blessing of being able to teach some of these guys who are now some of the best dudes in the business. So, and they were always better than me even when they were kids, and they need the work. So hook them up.
Ken mentioned that Casey's been a great mentor. Well, when it comes to game design, I've just been studying, from reading his stuff, talking to him. But he's not just when it comes to games, but like in real life too. Because I had a health scare, and I was talking to Casey, and he gave me some perspective that really settled me down. He made me feel so much better about life with his wisdom and experience. So Casey's a great dude. There's a reason I was glowing him as hard as I could at the beginning of the show.
Dr. Fola says, I'm working on my products. I'm doing everything. I'm all of the staff of Webstar Enterprises, and we have no money.
Can't really.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, Dr. Fola is he's one of the players in my gaming group, and get a hold of Casey, man.
Yeah, here's a copy of Catpocalypse Now that my wife, my daughter, and I did during the pandemic when we were all trapped at home together. So I used I was inspired by the Fire and Ice, and I did it all as cat people. Then we have some of the artwork. We've got a comic that my daughter did, and I think she was 16 or 17.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then interior art, writing, we did the whole thing. So
that's awesome.
That's
dude.
cool, man.
But it's We did the whole thing, the whole thing. I paid somebody to lay it out and paid somebody to edit it, but everything else is, yeah, all our work. So I feel you, Doc. That is a place to be, man.
That's awesome.
He says Harvey lives. Well, there's the inside joke of that because he was Harvey was his familiar, who Cuthbert merged the familiar and him together. So he was a paladin of Saint Cuthbert that was in the form of a hare. And last night there was a big fallout in the group where he ended up trying. I don't know. Anyways, he's now no longer a paladin. Let's just say that.
F's in the chat for Harvey. But
yeah, so
you know, Dr.
Harvey
Phobos
lives. Harvey is still alive. So
that's awesome, Doc.
And looking into it, Dr. Phobos, about art, even if you ain't got like budget for everything to be fancy, art can be surprisingly affordable. Mostly it depends on how much you want of it in there. If you want to go for a few signature pieces, you might be able to get away with like $200 or less. But if you want like art on every page and it's a 200-page book,
yeah,
you talked yourself into thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
right. We've started paying based on a little bit on complexity, a little bit on the number of figures that, because you'll get an author who's like, they want 1,000 figures doing 1,000 different things on the page. And it's like, well, the artist doesn't have 1,000 hours to get your thing done. He's got to make a living, which means he needs to make between 30 and $45 an hour working on this piece. So, you adjust your notes accordingly. Make sure that you are asking, the artist what specifics, what you want. Give them the bullet points. Don't assume they can read your mind, and don't assume they want to read your manuscript, because they don't.
Yeah.
Unless they're really big gamers, they generally don't want to have to fumble through the whole book in order to find the best pieces. I'm fortunate because right now with In the Fade, I've got some of the artwork, not In the Fade, the Buzzard House. Some of the work I had done by Brett Barkley, who's like a great comic artist, and so some of it's all kind of themed with the creepy, eerie comics style to it. So some of it's like kind of the Ben-Day dot kind of thing, but also some of it's kind of like the Frazetta covers to all of those books.
Ooh.
And if you're going to get Frazetta style art, you're going to go get Mike Syragos. And for him, I was like, listen, I got $200 left to budget. Here's the book, because he plays with his brother and has since they were little kids, right? And he's from Greece, so he's all old school all the time. And he's like, okay, I got you. And the first one, I think I showed you guys the one with the larvae and the harpy that was hurting larvae.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, because I like this toy room, but I also like this laboratory. I'm like, here's $200. Make whatever happens happen.
Wow.
I'm looking him up right now, and yeah, you're not kidding, are you?
Yeah, he's intense. I like Brian LeBlanc too. Brian LeBlanc is also a big student of that style, and they've actually befriended the Frazetta girls and some of the family members. So they've been out to the museum and seen the stuff and talked with those folks. Yeah.
Bro, I'm looking at a picture of his golden fleece. The level of detail on that thing is insane.
Yeah,
like Jason the Golden Fleece. Wow.
He's got physical oil paintings on copper at the new Raiders stadium.
That's freaking crazy.
Of like old school Leatherhead, like Oakland Raiders football players just pummeling the crap out of, I think, Chiefs players, because I'm pretty sure it's red and white uniforms on the other guys.
This is why I like talking to Casey, because this is fantastic stuff. He knows so much about everything related to our hobby, and I'm an art fan. I'm not as in depth in my knowledge as Casey or say my wife, who's got her bachelor's in art history, but I just love hearing about it. Well, it teaches us so much about how art even happens, and there's science and there's social studies, all of it goes into it.
Well, that was that cover that I showed you guys. That we'll get that out there in the world with the Dimension Delver's Guide. The one that I showed you where it's the devil above and the demon below, so it's like below. It's like,
Yeah.
instead of as above, so below, it's so below and even more below. And I get these wild messages. This is literally like what I showed Artem. I was like, and I mean, I'm a pretty good artist, but this is crap. I was like, something like this, and then
Let me make
another
a screen
picture.
bigger. Hang on. Let's see. Put that up there again.
It's like something like
I love
Oh
it.
man.
And then I did a more refined one. I sent it to him, and that one's upstairs. And he goes, and then I was like, don't put any of the lines or any of that stuff in there. Just this. And so he's like, I'm getting a Flemish feel. I want to. And I knew exactly what he was talking about for the listeners. Flemish style would be like the girl with the pearl earring. It's all of the and if their first name is a Van or their last name is a Dyke, there's some kind of art going on there that has a specific kind of polish to it. They painted on real fine sanded wood panels, so everything's super smooth. I knew exactly what he was talking about. I wake up the next morning and his rough sketch I looked at for like a half hour, so
Yeah, and but you can, besides paying for art, like Joe Block, very successful in publishing his modules. He's got quite a fan base. His modules don't tend to have very much art at all. And what he does have, usually it's public domain stuff. And I was reading through the 2E rule set for Golden Glory. It was just a complete rip off of 2E, just filed a couple serial numbers off it. But the art in it was beautiful, and it was all public domain stuff. But it was just thematically appropriate for a fantasy role playing game.
It's actually more preferable, I think, to use the public domain stuff than to just go and have AI scrape other people like Artem's talent off of the internet and repopulate it into whatever, And I know there's a lot of vibes going one way or another, but I can tell it's AI just by looking at it.
Yeah.
It hasn't crossed the uncanny valley.
It's not hard.
Artem's poor thing, because AI has stolen so much from him. He'll put his original pieces through the filter that they do to detect AI, and it'll detect as like 80 or 90% AI.
Oh, and Artem's so good.
He's so good. And he puts the work in, And Adrian Landeros, same thing. He puts the work in. I got a kid, Tom, his new stuff that he's got, and he's got the pieces. If you've seen any of the stuff on our social media for Crimson, Curse of the Crimson Wake, he did the like pirate ghost with the mist and all of that stuff. This stuff is just, man, he just keeps getting better and better, and it's just awesome. I love working with these great artists. I love working with great writers and creators, and that's the thing I want everybody to understand about my philosophy. When you're creating this stuff, this is your art. This is your art. This is your expression, and you're trying to create something, especially in the gaming field. You're creating an art and expression that you're sharing with in a social setting, and not just let's go look at it on the wall or let's go read it. It's let's gather together and enjoy this together. And that's cool.
I could have him go down this art and critique
Sorry, I'm sidetracking
for 4 more hours. Oh no, we were asking. I think you said we had some questions we needed to get to from the audience, Angelo, and I love our people, so I don't want to neglect them, but I do love Casey
I actually
too.
just Freezer. You know what? You had 3 questions on here, and guess what? I unpinned them and lost them. So I am so sorry. He did ask one question that I thought that would be a good one to kind of goes along with what you guys are talking about right now. And I can't find it to bring it up on the screen, but I'll paraphrase what Freezer said. Freezer said, "Do you guys find it harder to write for 5E in the audience, I guess, versus kind of older school stuff? If you do, And you guys both have kind of been, well, Stephen, you're definitely involved in that. So both of you guys should be able to answer this.
My answer is going to be way shorter. Is that 5e? I imagine would be harder because the options available to the players are so much greater. Now I know 3e and 3.5 had a lot of bloat to them of what players could do, and you got to be able to have some reasonable ability to foresee how the players could interact with what you're making.
That's important. That is important. Game master, the writers, designers need to let the reader know what is going on so that they know how to approach your characters who are going to derail the adventure and whatever, and be prepared for that. If you've got if you have a stack of note cards even that say, all right, when James tries to stuff 300 foot long chain links into his backpack bag of holding, what's the consequence? What's going on? And then you go, okay, well, that's going to take however many minutes and it's going to make a lot of noise. I have this monster in this area over here that's going to come and handle him doofing around with the chain, right? But also you want to award players agency when they come up with something goofy and crazy. You just got to shake your head because it's a game and go, it just might work. Why don't you roll the dice and find out, right? Or describe to me what's going to happen. But
I like it.
Yeah, man. Just having a backup plan for when they break your stuff. But when you're writing the thing, bullet point the important things that people need to know so that they're right there. Box the stuff that they need to know so that it's there and you can find it. Having to rummage through the text to find out what's going on. That's one of the things I had to learn when writing for a newer audience. I had to be like, okay, what do they really need to know? Because they're not like my generation that's going to read the whole book back to front and know what everything's there. I'm going to have to highlight bits of the text so that they can find it and relate to it as they relate to the content, because we don't all read the same. We don't all interact with media the same anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust your style accordingly. So.
You said something that I think is pretty funny, or is regarding kind of along the lines of just rolling with it as a DM, right? So when you're writing, I guess this is kind of what I'm talking about is if the players find a way around something and surprise the living crap out of you, don't be pissed that
you'll be mad about it.
Yeah, don't be pissed that your plan didn't go as planned.
Right. Be prepared for your big bad guy to get whacked in the first encounter.
Yeah.
That's what happened when we had our Curse of Strahd, and that's where everything kind of went off the rails, because he's got that whole dinner with the dead where he invites you over to a meal under the auspices of this, that, and the other thing, right?
Yeah.
And and it's so degrading if you don't take the deal or whatever, all of this kind of nonsense. I'd already texted the rest of my group the week before we knew we were going to that thing, and we had a whole battle plan laid out to whip his ass right there at dinner, because we looked at the fact that he had already like broken my neck and killed me, and then I had to get raised from the dead again. He'd done all of these nasty, underhanded, dirty things, made us eat children, all of this kind of stuff, previously in the game. The reasons I don't enjoy that adventure as much as I probably did the original, right? So he'd done all these dastardly, terrible things, but we were of a sufficient power and ability at that time to take him out, and the DM got mad.
Yeah.
And the DM, we should have beat the adventure, finished it off pretty much. We should have beat him into the ground so we had enough time to search his castle for what we needed to finish him, right? And that wasn't how he wanted his end game to go. In his head as the DM, that wasn't how the end game was supposed to go. Yeah. So he started throwing in random encounters on top of us that weren't anywhere involved in it. It was like it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to get you guys because you ruined my little dinner with the dead thing, And I don't think he meant to do that. I think it was just the DM who's fairly new at the game, new at the system, not new at the game, but new at the system, getting a little fluffed because we kind of broke his plan. And you can't do that as the DM. If your players screw up your carefully laid plan, that's on you. You didn't lay your plan right, or you didn't have a backup plan. Have a backup.
They played it back.
That's right. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That is true.
Or Casey, that is success.
Yeah.
That is success, and that is table success. And you know what? Good job, players, for figuring out the puzzle. You know what I mean? If you look at it,
you mentioned
anyway.
I think that's triumph there.
That y'all had studied Strahd and what he did in your previous encounters. You learned from him, and you took that into account when you were coming up with your game plan. So you were relying on your heads, not your character sheet. The character sheets were tools for you to enact your plan. And that's player skill, and that's so important.
That's exactly kind of the bullet point we were talking about. That's player skill.
Right. We're well past that. And I mean, I love the guy who ran the game. I do. I love him. And I think it was just a matter of like a little bit of inexperience when it came to that kind of thing that ended up being kind of you could tell he was upset. You know what I'm saying? And then the fight, it should have ended right there. That should have been the end of the campaign. And hurrah, everybody celebrate. We'll pick a new game, pick a new DM, and play on it next time. And then instead, it ended up being like 2 more sessions that weren't as fun. So, is what it is. And
I think
we'll pick it back up again one of these days, though. I need to reconnect with those people.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing. You got to let your players, even if they, and I keep saying this, but I did a video kind of on this where, allow your players to come up with crazy stuff and roll with it. You know what I mean? I think if you keep saying no or keep fighting the group, that's really not what the job of the DM is, to be honest.
The job of the DM is to be a referee.
Yeah.
Right there in the original Dungeon Master's Guide. Be a referee.
Yeah.
You call the strikes, you call the balls, and you're neutral, you're arbitrating what they said they do versus the world, how it interacts. And it's a game. And games rely on chance, and sometimes the dice go your way, sometimes they don't. Sounds like y'all should have stomped Strahd. Whereas when I played through Curse of Strahd, we had a great plan, and then when we got to the moment, a couple of the players were like, "Well, I think I made a side deal with Strahd, so I'm going to hang back," and we got wiped. And then Strahd, because he's Strahd, guess what? The chaotic evil vampire turned on them and inflicted worse damage on them than he did on me, who led the charge. Literally, he is John Bergluck, PI, rode in on a horse to crash the wedding, and got turned into a vampire. But the other guys, that was preferable to what happened. He did to the faithless betrayers. So, but player choices made a difference.
I got a question for you guys, and forgive my ignorance here, because I am not familiar with Curse of Strahd. I've never read it. I've never played in it. Is it kind of a spin-off of Ravenloft?
The whole Ravenloft Castle is the very last dungeon of the whole thing.
Okay, because I know there's a forest, and you got the town, the forest, Barovia.
It's funny. One of the best role-playing experiences that I remember as a kid, as a high schooler, was playing the House on Griffin Hill, which is like a terribly reviewed adventure. Which is funny because if you run it right, it's absolutely a blast, because there's all the people in the village and all of that you can get involved with. And there's another one where it's actually bright sunny days, and it's very idyllic, the Cliffs of Dover vibe to the whole thing.
I love the ambition and the concept of it. It just should not have had the name Strahd anywhere near it, and the editing was atrocious. Me and Lou tore the thing apart.
But we had such a great time playing it, and I had the vampires start turning the people in town into vampires along the way, and so our ranger had been kind of flirting with the lady who was like the barmaid at the local inn, and I immediately turned her into a vampire to the point where he was ready to become a vampire with her. So I took
nice.
that concept, and then when I did the Bard's Gate years and years later, there's the vampire hunter in town is based on his character, and the lady vampire who's kind of like the queen of vampires in the city is his paramour, and like every time he realizes she's in town, he has to flee to another city or whatever before she. Yeah. So
my boy Freezer's got another question for you, Casey.
Sure.
I like this one.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your favorite unique system? Like not
James
Dungeons
Bond.
and Dragons. James Bond. Really?
James Bond game from West End. Was it West End? Yeah.
Why? What sell it to us? What was the best part of that?
We were pretty poor. I mean, very blue collar, a lot of meat packing, a lot of, that kind of stuff. Truck driving dads, tractor factory dads, that kind of thing. And it was like the kid who had Twilight 2000 moved away. And we couldn't afford to buy a new system.
Did you play a lot of that growing up?
We played a little bit, yeah. It's like you always ended up getting washed in like before the game even started, they'd roll the random check to see if you'd gotten killed in an artillery strike or a radiation poisoning before the next encounter took place. So we had dudes that would drop off from that, and they decided that wasn't fun. But no, James Bond, it had like the car chase rules in it that were pretty decent. The combat rules weren't terrible. The dice were really uncomfortable. If you like threw them at somebody real hard, you might actually stick it in them because their D10s were real sharp.
Yeah.
You only know this because this happened, didn't it?
Well, I mean, like I said, misspent youth. But so we would use it as like we used it and we played Red Dawn. We did a Red Dawn campaign with James Bond rules.
That was around the same time, yeah.
Yeah, because all the guns were in there and all of the vehicles and stuff were in there, so you could just throw it together. Because I had Her Majesty's Secret Service. I had the main core book, and then the Majesty's Secret Service had like additional weapons and campaigns and stuff. But I never bought any of their modules because I was like, we're just making up our own stuff as we go, kind of thing. So yeah. But we used it more as like a squad combat game as opposed to a spying rules game. But I loved reading it because I'd read all of the novels. My dad had all of them, and it's like they just their pages were yellow and orange around the sides and smelled like cigarette smoke.
I love it.
Yeah. But it had all of those books, and they were great. I'm sorry, I missed one of the questions that was for me. Was that you?
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah. Did you ever get into
Victory Games? Yeah.
Victory Games, yeah. Did you ever get into anything like
modulates
like Boot Hill or anything?
I've played some Boot Hill. I love it. When Red Dead was out, Red Dead 2, my friends and I basically role played that the entire pandemic because a lot of us were.
Yeah.
So I'd play that at 2-3 hours a day for, I think I had like a 400-day streak.
Wow.
You like that game, huh?
Yeah. So I love a good Western. I live in Kansas where,
heart of Westerns.
Oh yeah. I mean, Doc Holliday passed through here. Wyatt Earp was while he was a policeman, he was also a pimp and a dog catcher here in town. So
wow.
Yeah. And then he moved to Dodge City and had his famous shootout in Dodge City, followed by his famous shootout in Tombstone. But
Tombstone, yeah.
What was it? Who's the ones that got killed down in Coffeyville? I mean, I've been to that museum down there. For whatever reason, it's escaping my memory right now. But
I mean, the Coffee Gang, right? Yeah.
Yeah, where they got taken out by the locals because they heard they were on the edge of town and they waited for them at sundown.
Yeah. If you're into Boot Hill in North Texas, I'm one of the two people that run Boot Hill.
I've heard about your games. Yeah. Boot Hill's awesome. You don't live long in that one, but you didn't in a real.
No, you don't.
Either.
No, you don't. I'm running two games this time, and I'm actually driving, so I'm bringing my whole city mock-up with me, and Yeah, it was.
What's the one that's the Dungeon Crawl Classic one? That's the Weird West.
Dungeon Crawl. Somebody in the comments are going to say it.
Somebody
I
got
don't
that?
know either. It's not
Yeah.
Deadlands. I mean, Deadlands.
No, it's not Deadlands. It's the other one. Strange Frontiers. Is it Weird Frontiers?
That sounds right.
Maybe.
Weird
Yeah.
Frontiers.
Somebody will say it. Yeah. It's
It is.
I never played that though. So
Let me tell you what. Yeah, Weird Frontiers. That's the one. Let me tell you. That is one of the last games that I played with a group of friends in like an online setting. And I played with Skeeter Green and Ian McGarty and Chet Minton, a bunch of those. There's some name drops.
Okay.
Yeah, just there you go. And it was one of the best damn times I have ever had. I got to play the raspy dead-eyed ghoul. You know, your the Revenant. Yeah. I had a blast. I was real. So yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy the Western genre. I don't know about writing for it yet, though. I mean, I'm sure I could. I had a friend years ago, and he was working on a kind of a Black Powder era RPG. I don't know if anything ever happened of it. He wrote the something. Was it the Gray Citadel? Gray Citadel for Necromancer Games way back in the day, I believe was one of his modules that he wrote. Guy was really great. He was an actual historian of that genre, and my dad is as well. I mean, my dad makes like museum replica stuff. You know, yeah, of like flintlocks and tomahawks and war clubs and all of that. He doesn't do the beadwork anymore because he's older, and now he's basket weaving, so that's his thing. And before you laugh, he's two-time Florida State Fair state champion basket weaver.
Oh, if you're the best at something completely lame, does that make it better?
And he's got like four or five like blue ribbons. Yeah, so you know that's. He works at the what's the county down there that Pinellas County. He works at the Pinellas County historical museum, that little plot of land that's like all of the towns, little old town down there. And yeah, he goes there and basket weaves on the porch dressed in his settler's gear. So tricorn hat and knee breeches. He's
doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing it good.
Yeah. That's cool. Were there any other questions from the audience that you could
I got last couple of comments here. We're talking about Star Frontiers, Gamma World. Love those games.
Star Frontiers.
A lot of Star Frontiers, a lot of Gamma World. If I panned my camera, you'll see my. I don't want to do that, but yeah, all those old. I love all those old TSR games.
Yeah.
I'll throw one out here. You talked about James Bond. What about Indiana Jones? Did any of you guys play that back in the day?
I read the rules and I did not care for it, so I didn't drop the coin on it.
Indiana Jones, if I remember
but
right,
I did buy the Conan modules, Conan Untamed and
Conan, yeah,
bought the Conan modules. They were.
I never really got into the Conan modules.
The artwork was good.
Yeah.
The artwork was kind of Savage Sword level.
One that they had the stats for Conan and all the kind of the characters.
Yeah, they did come out with an RPG, but I never bought the RPG.
Yeah.
Like Modifius or something like that.
I played I believe TSR had one right there for a while, like a box set. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Modifius has got theirs. They've got their John Carter one too, which is pretty cool. And played some Call of Cthulhu, and then I invest in all the books, and then they changed the system, and nobody wants to play, and
here we go. We talked about this a couple weeks back, man. I am oof. Yeah, what was your what? When did you start playing Call of Cthulhu? What version?
What was the last one that came out? It was the one before that.
Well, 7, and then you had 6. You had 5, and 5.
5 or 6. 5 or 6.
I'm more of a 5, 6 person.
I did 5.
And the whole reason why is first of all, I have the books, I have the game, so I don't need a new version.
You're right. The Marvel Superheroes game was awesome fun. It was awesome fun. I even though I didn't really get to play it, I love reading the stuff and seeing how they came up with the rules and how they put everything together. Yeah, that was a real good. Hey, nice talking to you, Flynn. It was nice to meet you.
Hey, see you later, Flint. Thanks, man.
And yeah, so that was.
Yeah, Cthulhu for me. I think we talked about it a couple weeks back, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of the luck mechanic in it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any luck in Cthulhu, so I don't need it. Yeah.
One thing going back to like old school and players and player agency and all the various different things. One thing, it's the, and this came up for me in a module I was reading from one of our submissions, and I'm a big believer in playing the intelligence of your character, just like I'm a big believer in playing the intelligence of the monster. So this particular module I was reading that somebody submitted to us has this awesome, cool plot, has all of these cool things happening, and then the particular monster that is the like the enemy or whatever that's causing all of this transdimensional rifts and cool stuff has an intelligence of 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is there a secret hand behind the intelligence 5 monsters from the other dimension?
Yeah.
Or do you need to go create a purpose-built monster for this adventure that's going to be much better than the one out of the book that you chose?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, I meant for it to be an aboleth is behind this whole thing. I'm like, cool, if an aboleth's behind it, tell me. Because you're going to get some smart-ass reviewer or some very extra attentive fan who's going to go, they can't do that. They have just barely higher than animalistic intelligence, and then they're going to trash your adventure, and you don't want that to happen for an adventure that's really super good. So when I'm playing D&D with my character, if I'm rolling straight stats and I roll like a 4 or 5 intelligence, I'm going to go do stupid stuff that's going to get my guy killed because that's what the intelligence dictates is going to happen, And so not everybody plays that way. And that was kind of one of those things where I think you got to kind of establish that at the table as the game master. It's like, hey, if we're rolling straight stats, your dude's got a 7 intelligence, you're not a reader, have you seen Mice and Men? You got to kind of cue them into that so that they're not trying to do more than they would actually be able to do.
Here's a question from Brass Monkey. He says, what is your white elephant at the game that you spent the most money on and no one wanted to play it?
Man, yeah, that's
Spelljammer. Second Spelljammer. I've got every book for it. And I love the idea.
Hey, it's a great idea.
But I can't get people to play it.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one right there. Yeah.
It's a good one to be frustrated about, or a good game?
It is a good one to be frustrated about, because I think I spent a little bit on some of those books too. Yeah. And I still love that stuff, but again, it's one of those how the adventures were marketed for it is what hurt the thing. Better adventure. If we would have had Spelljammer and Encephalon Gorgers on the Moon, right? See where I'm going there? That's better than anything they would have put out as far as the same kind of deal, because they weren't taking that kind of risk. They were going another way. And that's totally fine. And I mean, I love all of that stuff. And, Janelle did an amazing job on all of that stuff that she worked on for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I bought a ton of the Spelljammer stuff, but like I said, I don't think the modules were necessarily. They tried getting you excited about that town on the meteor or on the asteroid. Rock-a-Brawl. Yeah, and I wasn't excited by it.
No.
Yeah.
I like the potential for the game. And what like Planescape, you could play any kind of campaign you want in it.
Right.
But you have to, that might be a problem for some people to conceptualize, what am I supposed to do in this setting?
Yeah.
Or maybe it just doesn't appeal to them.
Yeah, I think some do, and also I think sometimes how you open your game to others can affect whether or not you drown your own game as well. Uh, there was a ton of really cool Mork board, but there's also a ton of really bad Mork board.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but the people who made the Mork board have to deal with both the good and the bad because the bad reflects on them just as much as the good does. So,
Yeah.
Tony Dieter Lisi is one of the nicest freaking people I've ever met in my entire life. One of the kindest people ever. I was actually fortunate enough to be on his real friends list for a while back in the early days of social media and whatnot. And we bought all of the books for what was his the books that he and Holly did,
Oh, the spider.
Spiderwick Chronicles.
Yeah.
We bought all of the Spiderwick Chronicles when we took my like year and a half, maybe year-old daughter to Gen Con because the grandparents came and had the RV so she could stay at the RV with the grandparents, come out to the show, and I could work. And so grandparents bought all of the Spiderwick books for my daughter when she was just a baby. Gary Gygax got to hold her when she was just a baby, which is really cool. It was before our pictures for everything all the time, so take my word for it. He was great. He loves kids. He loved kids. And so she read those books when she was like 10 or so years old. And they were the first, like, kind of more mature chapter books she'd ever read. And she finished the last book and she was literally bawling her eyes out. And
Good.
yeah, because it was so good and it made her sad and everything. And she had all the feels. And I said, well, I kind of know him a little bit. Why don't you write him a letter? And so then I took a picture of her letter and I sent it to him. And he's like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've seen all day. I'm sending this to Holly right now. So that was really cool because that had a big impact on her and her literacy. So I can be nothing but
Great.
grateful. Yeah.
Great.
Wow. Yeah. To answer, I'll answer that one question is D6 Star Wars. I wish I had a lot more people that played that game.
Well, at
available.
some point, I told Freezer that I would run at least a one shot so he could see what it was like of
Yeah, you need to run it.
So
I want to play in it.
I'll let you know when it when that happens.
Yeah, that was a game I wanted to play and never had a chance to.
Yeah, I played a lot of it, but I want to play more. I want to play more. I mean, I'm a Star Wars nut. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys. Man, we're at the 2-hour mark, a little over.
Yeah, it's easy for time to fly when you got that guy talking because you just want to. He's got those dulcet tones. It's so relaxing and interesting at the same time.
Voice for radio. Yeah.
But then he got it. But then he gets excited, and then you can feel the excitement too. But then he chills you back down, and then it's all good. It's like a massage. Like his voice is like a freaking massage. He knows how to tell a story. That's what I'm talking about. He's awesome.
Well, should we wrap up, guys, or you guys?
Yeah, I gotta get.
I see. I think your shoulder's getting a little cranky, isn't it? I can see you.
Yeah. I've been kind of rolling on it here all night. I got to do this again tomorrow night, an hour later.
You do. Yeah. You're gonna be on there with Chris and Ron and all those guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Ron he's begging me, you gotta come out to Page, and I keep telling him, man, I'd love to, and I'm like, 2028 I'm wide open because I'll be retired,
Yeah.
And it's like I work in education and they're real finicky about when you get to take time off and how you get time off, and you can't take time next to time. And he's like, oh, but it's Martin Luther King Day weekend, you don't even have to take that extra day off. I'm like, no, you don't understand. If I fly home on Monday and there's a blizzard and I'm not there on Tuesday, it's my butt. That's how it goes. Yeah, I wish it was different. Luke has asked me. He asked me for the first 7 years of
See you later, Brass.
Gary Con. You coming to Gary Con? And I'm like, I can't. You're having it too close to my spring break, and if it overlaps or there's a blizzard,
Yeah.
it's my butt, you know. Yeah, and so then he quits asking, and then you feel bad because you're like, well, I have my shot, yeah. But I finally got to make it up, of course, 2019, and then everything's been screwy ever since.
Yeah, that was the last year I went. That was the last year that I went to Gary Con, was 2019.
Mine too. It was also the first year I went to Gary Con and thought it was amazing. So
it was great. It was great. It's got a
Yeah.
great vibe. It's got a great vibe to it.
Yeah. It's a good,
all
good
right,
con.
y'all. But thanks, Casey. Appreciate you coming on, and I knew
Absolutely.
you were going to be great. And you
Yeah.
were. And good luck with Parallel Dimension Gaming. And
Thank you.
I look forward to reading my first product of it. Just sample it. The Under 4 Furies. Just give it a taste, and if you like that, then he will take your money to give you more.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with a gang of halflings that beat you about the knees and ankles and head and
Yeah.
everything else.
It's like a
Okay.
publicly acceptable Dark Sun version of halflings. Like you could get away with this. Like
It's heavily inspired by the Warriors. So
there you
Nice.
go. See this.
Well, Casey, Steven, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Casey, we'll have to have you back again, man.
Sure.
It's really, really great having you.
Yeah, it's a real good time. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
And Steven, as always, good to see you. And I'm sure
Great
we'll
to be here. Good to see you.
Sure, we'll be sending crazy pictures back and forth to each other tomorrow, like we do every day. So
we might be into the gothic of the feminine persuasion.
Might be. But hey, you guys, I want to. But in the show notes, you guys will be links to Casey's cool stuff. I also put a bunch of stuff in there I will put a bunch of stuff in there for Steven. Links to his channel and stuff like that. But definitely appreciate all you guys coming out with great chats.
Thanks, Keith. I don't know why I said it 4 times. I'm an idiot.
You're good.
Yeah, all the back and forth. Thank you so much, guys. I couldn't even keep up with how much was going on. So thank you so much. See you next time. All right. Thanks for